Hey everyone, Dan Abbott here at Sanctuary Inn. We are super excited. We are getting things ready for our annual fundraising dinner. Right over here, we have one of the many tables for our guests that Joann and Cara are setting up. We are so excited to have everybody here.
Speaking of having everybody here, I think we've run into a little bit of a problem. We can't have people on the property.
What? But how are we going to tell the story?
There's got to be a way.
How do we make this work?
Wait, guys, I have an idea. Let's just go virtual.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Sure,
then, I
but
guess.
Tell us more.
How does that happen?
Guys, we've already done it. We're going virtual, and we're live in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm Stephen Price. I'm the director of Sanctuary Inn. Let me ask you a question. Do you have a favorite book? Maybe it's a work of fiction or a biography, or maybe you love history. Maybe your favorite is considered one of the classics, or if you're like me, there's some books you could read over and over again. I know I have my favorites. Several months ago as a team, we met to plan the September dinner. As we prayed and brainstormed, we came up with the theme of Tell Your Story. As we were talking about the idea of Tell Your Story, we were thinking about the journey that God has taken us on as staff to bring us here to be part of the ministry of Sanctuary Inn. Also, we were thinking about the journey that God has taken our guests on, those who have come and stayed with us as part of the ministry here at Sanctuary Inn. When we tell our story of what God has done, we're each telling a chapter in the bigger story of Sanctuary Inn, and even in the bigger story of what God is doing to care for His global workers. So tonight we're going to do something we've never done before. We're going to have a fundraising dinner that is not an actual dinner. But I would invite you to pull up a chair, get comfortable, maybe grab a favorite snack, and let's listen to a few of these chapters in the Sanctuary Inn story.
Hello, my name is Cara Githens, or I could say Oi, meu nome é Suzane. Who am I? I am a missionary kid, a third culture kid, now an adult, deeply shaped by my years growing up in Brazil. 20 years ago, I took a few flights from Campo Grande, Brazil, to PDX and found myself just about 24 hours later in a home of friends whom I had just met. I felt so alone. I had just said goodbye to my whole world, my parents, childhood friends who knew my heart, a church I loved, a meaningful ministry with the deaf, the Portuguese language that I knew, and I spoke with ease, and I understood the slang, the warmth of the tropics, delicious food, which I still miss, all the sights, sounds, smells, and everything that was familiar. And here I was, the summer before I started college, back home. As many people said, this was not a home I knew. I carried on. I got 2 part-time jobs, got involved in church, led a high school small group. I did all the things. I checked all the boxes of living the American life I was now supposed to live. But my heart was breaking. I felt so utterly alone. No one really knew me. I had left the real me in Brazil. My whole identity felt lost. All this pain led me to deep depression, and I even questioned if life was still worth living. Yet God, in His kindness, met me in my dark night of the soul and showed me that he was enough for me, just as he'd been enough for Job and his pain, grief, and sorrow. It is a lesson I have carried with me in the many ups and downs in my life story. I can now look back at that chapter of my life and say that I was going through the valley of cross-cultural transition. My story is unique to me, but I am not alone in my experience of having lost so much: a name, an identity, friendships, a language, food, a ministry. The list is overwhelming. Loss, grief, and transition of this magnitude is part of the missionary life. Now, in this chapter of my life story, I am honored and privileged to work here at Sanctuary Inn as a care coordinator. I am a trained counselor, and I provide cross-cultural debriefing for our missionary guests who are often feeling much of what I felt 20 years ago. I know their pain. I listen to their stories, and I assure them that they are not alone. We pray together, and we invite God into their story and their pain. And I know He is faithful to meet them just as He met me 20 years ago. I am so grateful that Sanctuary Inn exists. It is a safe place for missionary parents, kids, singles, couples to share their stories and know that they are not alone.
Hi, I'm Joann Price. In 2005, Steve and I were hired to be the resident directors at the Worldview Center. It was a ministry that provided housing for international students and North Americans that were desiring to live cross-culturally. In the 11 years that we served at the Worldview Center, the world came to live with us. We got to experience the joys and the sorrows of life with the hundreds of residents and guests that were a part of our Worldview family. We began to understand the power of God in community as we were able to affirm one another in calling and giftedness. In 2013, we learned that the building was going to be sold, and our chapter at the Worldview Center was ending. We had been believing that God was going to do something more. We just didn't know it would be at the expense of this ministry that we had loved. We grieved the loss for ourselves, and there was also the loss and grief for so many around the world who had come to see the Worldview Center as their American home. It was very painful for me as I was losing my home, my ministry, and my community all at once. We lived with the tension of the long goodbye and the hope of something new for 2.5 years. In 2016, the building was sold and the resident portion of the ministry closed. It was a very painful transition, yet I marveled at what God was doing as He prepared us for what He had next. I'm here today at Sanctuary Inn, where we continue to be in community in a place where we can affirm the callings and giftedness in our missionary guests.
Hi, I'm Katie Crawford, and I have the pleasure and honor of being on the board at Sanctuary Inn. I want to tell you a little about my story and how the Lord allowed me to participate in His vision to bring to life the ministry of Sanctuary Inn here in this amazing place. I came to know Jesus as my Savior and friend at a very early age. I had multiple experiences that pushed me further on and further in with Christ. This led me to be involved in ministry from a very young age, thanks to an awesome youth program at my church. I was exposed right away to the highs and the lows of being in ministry full-time. The summer I was 19, I interned at my church for a very busy summer. It was during that summer that I became very aware of how easy burnout for people in Christian ministry can be. It was an exhausting grind, and at times the expectations put on the leaders around me was something I became very aware of. My heart began to be burdened to care for and encourage those around me in ministry. It was during that summer, I was on a missions trip with our high school team in Alaska, that I first had a vision for what the Lord would eventually bring to life. He gave me a glimpse of what was to come. I was on a ferry going to an island where we would run some local VBS programs, and on the way we passed some amazing scenery, including the most idyllic island I had ever seen, with a beautiful lodge on it. As we passed by there were people out kayaking in front, and I was just overcome by its beauty. That's when the vision came to me that people in ministry, they need a place like this, a place centered in God's creation, His quiet and peace, where they can be restored and get needed rest. The Lord planted the seed in my heart that day. This was a ministry and a place I yearned to see brought to life. I ended up going to Bible college in Portland and making lifelong friends, many of which would end up in full-time ministry at home and abroad. I was in part-time ministry myself in my local church, and I became close with many pastors along the way. Again, this idea of pastoral and missionary care continued to be impressed on me as necessities for encouraging these friends that I loved to continue on in their calling. I saw firsthand how the enemy is relentless in his attack on those doing kingdom work. About 15 years ago, it was here in the lodge on this very property that I met the Prices for the first time. We were working at a high school retreat. I find it very ironic that it was on this property that I would form a friendship with a family that has become so dear to me. As we deepened our friendship, I was exposed to their experiences working overseas and the impact it has on their children. My sister and her family also moved overseas to work abroad, and their combined experiences, along with many other dear friends, would help me understand the struggles of MKs and third cultures kids. This deepened again my view of the impact of the ministry and needs of supporting the whole family with care. Around 2013, I started really feeling the desire to see the place that God had put the seed in my heart for come to life. I had so many close friends at this point that had needed this place. Dear, dear friends who had hit breaking points in their lives and ministries. They needed a place where they would be understood, where they were safe to process, where their paycheck and funding wouldn't be at risk if they were honest with how they were doing. A place where they could experience healing and transition to the next phase of their lives. I began praying for the Lord to bring this place to life and move it from vision to reality. I started dreaming big with the Prices around my fire pit in the summers of what this place could look like. I started keeping an eye out for property and places where He might build this sanctuary and refuge. In 2015, when we learned that the ministry of Steve and Joann would be transitioning away from the Worldview Center, I began leaning in with them and praying for what would be next. Eventually, this turned into the Dream Team. As we prayed, I started seeing that the seed that the Lord had placed in my heart almost 20 years before was being birthed before my eyes. What the Dream Team was being led towards was merging with the vision He had given me. I began praying earnestly for funding, big money, to secure a property, that He would direct us to the property He wanted to use for His kingdom's glory, and didn't He do just that? It was time for that vision from 20 years ago to become reality. The story of the funding and the property coming to us are the answers to our prayers. He did it. I can't tell you how much joy it brings me every time I come on this property and experience the place He shared with me all those years ago. It has the beauty of His creation, the quiet, the water, the mountains, it's all here. I hear the stories of His people getting rest, restoration, healing, community and encouragement that they need. He did it. He's doing it. I'm so honored to have been given the opportunity to be a witness to His provision for His people and to continue to partner in this work. I'm pretty excited to see what He does next.
Hi, my name is Calvin Tadema. I'm chairman of the board for Sanctuary Inn, and I get to tell you the story about how this property became our property. This is an awesome story. When we were looking for a place where we could call home, a place that could be a sanctuary for global workers, we were almost overwhelmed trying to find the right place. And we prayed hard because our hope was in God. In fact, Ephesians 3:20 and 21 was a verse we really hung on to. That says that glory be to God who is able to do way more than you can ask or imagine. And we were a startup ministry. We didn't have a track record. We didn't have a support network of any size. We didn't have a nest egg. And so we had just hope in God. But we heard about this place, Sanctuary Inn, this place in Welch's. And we got our hopes up as we heard about a place that was available that YGA had been using and stewarding for 33 years, doing a great job of ministry here, and their turn was about done. And so we started to pray, Lord, could we have this place? I remember when Steve and I and several others walked on the property the first time and talked with the people and got some information. I was a little bit shell-shocked when I saw the sticker price, well, at least the tax assessed value of $1.5 million. And I thought, Lord, I don't know how you would help us do this, but we really like this place. I talked to Marty. And I talked to Tom, and they're a nonprofit organization. A nonprofit organization gets to do ministry kinds of things, but when they're done, their assets can't be used to help any corporation or any individual. They have to be reinvested in other nonprofit organizations. So I talked to them and I said, I have an idea. We are a nonprofit organization. We'd love to use that property. How about if you give it to us? And we'll continue to use it for the kingdom. Well, the response that we got was a very polite response. They said, make us an offer. Then I knew that we'd need to find financing. I said, let's find some financing. Let's see what kind of an offer we can make. We went to Worldview Center, and we knew that they wanted to help us to become a thriving ministry. That was part of the goal when they sold their property on Tabor Space. They were prepared to give us a $250,000 grant. I talked and said, well, I was thinking $250,000 is not a very good offer to make to YGA for this size of a property. I said, what would you do with the money that you're going to be holding on to? You're going to have more cash than you need. Can you give us more? And we arranged a loan, interest only, starting after 3 years with a 10-year balloon of $250,000. Well, now we had $500,000 available in our financing. I went back to the YGA board and I made them an offer. I said, let's do $500,000. Would you be willing to sell this property to us for $500,000? I knew it was a low offer, but I was just asking God to bless this. I said, God, would you take this $250,000 grant and this $250,000 loan, and would you treat it like loaves and fishes in the eyes of YGA? I was very concerned when I heard back that they refused our offer, and they gave us a counter offer. When I received the counter offer, I looked at it and they said, we won't sell it to you for $500,000. How about $750,000? As I looked at the details, I said, this is brilliant. This is very clever. They're going to sell it to us for $500,000 down and carry a contract of $250,000. I wish I would have thought of this. This is a great idea. Because what it means is if we're paying interest on the loan, they know that we're surviving. If we fail, they'll know it right away because we can't make our interest payments. If we completely fail as a ministry, they get the property back and they get to try again as good stewards. Because of this agreement we made with them, we were able to buy the property for $750,000. At this point, we still owe $250,000 in the two different loans, although we've paid some of that back. The great news is this. We were able to take this property and to steward it for the ministry of Sanctuary Inn. YGA and Culture Bound are participating with us in helping us purchase this property. And every dollar that we pay against those loans goes right back into ministry. This is why we were so glad that God does more than we can ask or imagine. And this place is more than we could ask or imagine. But that's because we put our hope in Him.
So my name is Bekah, and I'm going to share with you a story about how God used Sanctuary Inn in my life. It was about 10.5 years ago when I first met Anna Price, and I will never forget, I have a very distinct memory of driving home somewhere, I think from the store, with her, and as we were pulling into the driveway, I started to share with her about the 2 years of my life prior to that. I'd been living and working in South Africa, and I was really burnt out on ministry and missions as a whole. And in Portland, I was feeling confused and kind of despondent towards wanting to do anything else for the Lord. And I'll never forget Anna telling me about Elijah in 1 Kings 17 and how when he felt similarly, God told him to go to a stream, to take a nap, and that he would send ravens to provide food for him. And as a side note, I think it's awesome that God is pro naps. That is very wonderful to me. But Anna, she told me how she really felt that her and her family were meant to be those ravens in my life, that they were going to care for me spiritually and emotionally. And that's what they did. I had no idea that a few years after that conversation, God would open a door for me to be able to go to Israel to serve full time alongside some friends of mine. And in the process of that, again, Anna's family, the Prices, they were ravens for me. They cared for my heart as I was preparing to go. They provided a physical place where I could invite others in to share about the vision that the Lord had laid on my heart. So another thing that makes Sanctuary Inn so unique is it's not only a physical location. You can use Google, you can find any hotel or Airbnb and go stay there and it'll be beautiful. But you're not going to get that spiritual and that emotional support that the team provides because they live on site and because they've all lived through life overseas. They understand, and that's what's rare and unique, setting Sanctuary Inn apart. You know, on my first visit to Sanctuary Inn, I arrived a little bit discombobulated. On my flight from Israel to the United States, I woke up to my seatmate touching me inappropriately. And I was not in a good way when I first got to Sanctuary Inn. I had come from 2 years of really intense work and ministry, and then I had that experience on the plane, and the team stepped in. They organized for me a counselor to see. They sat and they talked with me themselves. They gave me space. They allowed me to just sit and cry, and they sat and cried next to me. You know, they took me on hikes with them. Again, they fed me physically. I didn't need to worry about what I was going to eat or how I was going to get it because they were providing all my meals for me. They truly were, again, a place of sanctuary for me to help process the last 2 years of my life, but also what had happened on the plane. And the neat thing about Sanctuary Inn is once you are a guest, you are a guest. So I left Sanctuary Inn, but their care of me did not stop. I continued when I was on the field to get emails from them, to get phone calls. We would have Zoom chats face-to-face or phone-to-phone, and they would ask how I'm doing. They wanted to know. They continued to be that place of safety for me. And what was so amazing for me and what was such a gift is I could be safe with them and real with them. I could tell them the days I'm really struggling. I don't even love these people I'm supposed to be ministering to, or I don't like their language, or I just made a really terrible mistake today. Or even I could tell them that the days I loved my life so much I couldn't believe that people thought I was suffering for the gospel. I could share all these things with them, and it was safe and it was honest. They were a sanctuary for me to be able to process that. They met me in that place. My second visit to Sanctuary Inn, it was just as meaningful as my first visit. It might have been a little shorter in time, but again, I arrived to chocolate chip cookies, I arrived to coffee, to hugs, to people who wanted to sit across the sofa from me and to hear about the good that had happened and the hard that had happened and encourage me to keep on keeping on. And for me, as well as most people, we're living in this delicate balance of multiple jobs, multiple cultures, and multiple languages that we're balancing. And so again, having that place where we can just simply come and be, it's such a unique gift that you have the chance to partner with. As you're listening to all these stories tonight, you have the opportunity to be part of providing for this place so that they can continue to bless and equip people like me who are serving overseas. The money that you provide and the prayers that you are giving, it's going to those chocolate chip cookies, it's going to the coffee, it's allowing the staff to have the time to take the guests on hikes. And not just on hikes, but also when they've returned home, like I said, they're continuing to check up on all of their guests. That's an invaluable gift as a missionary, to have people who are behind you, who understand what it's like, and who are committed to seeing you equipped. I want to lastly just tell you about my life, specifically in the last few months. In March, I had to leave Israel really quickly. Because of COVID, I had 4 days to leave the country where I'd been living and working for the last 5 years. Because Israel was already shut down due to COVID, I wasn't able to say goodbye to my friends or to any places that I loved. I feel like it's very fair to say I arrived back to the States a little bit traumatized, completely in mourning and in grief. I was sad, I was angry. I had all the feelings. And the team within that first week reached out to me, and they checked in on me, and they continued every week to reach out to me to see how I was doing being home. And specifically, I started to meet with Cara one-on-one to do some readjustment or re-entry, cultural adjustment. And Cara, she helped me realize that my feelings were normal, that what I was thinking and what I was processing through, that these were all normal things when people return back to their country. She gave me, again, language that I could communicate with my friends and my family to help them kind of help me adjust back to being here. It really became an anchor for me in these few months that I was home, knowing that I had Cara, knowing that she had handouts she was giving me, talking through all these things. The work that Sanctuary Inn does, it's a gift. It was a gift for me while I was preparing to go. It was a gift for me the 5 years I was overseas, and as I've readjusted home. I'm so thankful for what you have done in being part of that. And I just ask you to consider ways that God is asking you again to give to Sanctuary Inn so they can continue to bless God's global workers like me. Thank you so much.
This evening, you have had the opportunity to hear 5 chapters from the story God is telling. How He planted the dream of Sanctuary Inn in people's hearts years before it even came into existence. The experiences He gave people so they would be fully equipped to care for the guests at Sanctuary Inn. How God has kept this property in the hands of believers for over 60 years, and how He has gathered people together to share in this incredible story. And now, another chapter is being written, a chapter in which you step into the story. A story where missionaries are thriving. A story where missionaries are fully equipped, refreshed, and restored for the work God has for them. We invite you to step into this story. To come alongside God in caring for His missionaries, serving all around the world. This evening, we have been blessed with a matching fund of $27,000. And every gift tonight will go towards making the ministry of Sanctuary Inn possible. Your one-time gifts will be matched, as well as any monthly giving for the first year. You can donate by going to sanctuaryinn.org and clicking on the yellow donate button. Now, as we close tonight, we would like you to hear a special thanks from some of our very own missionary guests. And from all of us here at Sanctuary Inn, we want to say thank you. Thank you for being a part of the story of God's provision and His care for those who go to the far reaches of the world to preach the good news. God bless you, and good night.
Hi, this is Paul Troy. I'm serving as a pastor at Village Church in Beaverton, Oregon. I just want to thank you for making the ministry of Sanctuary Inn possible.
Hi, I'm Lynn Paulson, and I do online counseling with missionaries. I refer people to Sanctuary Inn. Thank you for making their ministry possible.
Hi, we're Jill and Becky Matuszczyk.
We, along with our 6 children, work with Wycliffe Bible Translators, and we previously served in Mexico. Now we serve in Dallas, Texas. We are so grateful for the ministry of Sanctuary Inn. They've made it possible for us to continue in ministry, and thank you for supporting them.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Regina, and I serve in Slovakia. Thank you for making ministry at Sanctuary Inn possible.
This is Bill McLeod with Mission Connection. Thank you so much for making the ministry of Sanctuary Inn possible. God bless you guys.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I've been working in Tanzania, East Africa, and wanted to say thank you for your support of Sanctuary Inn.
Hi, we're the Hobsons.
And we're serving with Team in Portugal.
Thank you for making the ministry of Sanctuary Inn possible. We love it here.
Hi, my name is Perry Bradford, and I'm the Executive Director for Barnabas International. For over 30 years now, we've been involved in pastoral care to global workers, that would be missionaries and national church leaders. And I just want you to know how grateful we are for the ministry of Sanctuary Inn and the job that God is doing through that ministry to further kingdom work. So thanks for your love and support of that ministry. And God bless you folks at Sanctuary Inn as you continue to do kingdom work for His glory.
Hello everyone, I am Ricky Johnson from Papua New Guinea. I served with the Youth with a Mission for 4 years. I want to thank you all so much for supporting the ministry of Sanctuary Inn. God bless.
Hi! We are the Block family, and we just returned from serving in Quito, Ecuador.
We are so grateful for the Sanctuary Inn. It has been a blessing for our family as we are transitioning back to the U.S. We're especially grateful for the community there and just the feeling of community.
So thank you so much.
Hi, we're the Yaxie family. I'm Andy.
I'm Malachi. I'm George. I'm Jenny.
I'm Caroline.
And we serve with Youth with a Mission in the Middle East and in the United States for the last 13 years. And thank you for your support of Sanctuary Inn. They've really blessed us.
Hello, we are Daniel and Kimberly Johnson, and we served in the Czech Republic with Josiah Venture.
Thank you so much for making the ministry of Sanctuary Inn possible.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tim Park. I served with ELIC in China for 4 years, and I've come back, and Sanctuary Inn has really helped me in this transition. Thank you all for supporting.
Hi, this is Julius.
And I'm Grace
Tuonjeire. We are serving in Uganda, East Africa, and we thank you for making the ministry of Sanctuary Inn possible.